Well, hey everybody, I'm Sam. I am a student of the Bible. I've been a pastor for 22 years and I am a writer, and my training involves biblical studies, theology, and biblical languages. This is a follow-up video to my 2 Timothy 3:16 video. And in that video, I talked about this debate. It was actually a little while ago. I looked it up, and it was probably in the late 2000s, early 2010s. It was the latest iteration of it, but it's been going on for a little while since then. And it's not a super loud debate. It's just something that people were like, hey, this could be, we could read the adjectives in 2 Timothy 3:16 as attributive instead of in the predicate. And that could change the entire meaning of what 2 Timothy 3:16 is saying. And like I showed in the video, I kind of agree more with the traditional view of, no, this isn't the predicate. The words theopnestos and ophelemos, they're like in the predicate part. So the whole idea of God-breathed and useful or beneficial are actually saying something about the graphi, the word, instead of modifying that and being about it. So the way you translate it. I want to do part two because the argument in the scholarship of the ones who would say those adjectives are attributive, they would say, well, the reason that they're attributive is because you have no verb in 16. And so you either have to supply the verb, or what they would say is, no, what you do is you borrow the verb from 17. One of them, because there's two verbs in 17 and there's no verb in 16. Because this is a giant run-on sentence. What I want to show you today, though, is we're going to go into 17, and I want to argue from the vantage point that 17 is a complete, even though this is a run-on sentence, 17 has a complete thought, two complete thoughts by themselves, and 16 is a complete thought by itself as well, even though it's a giant run-on sentence. And so we cannot borrow the verbs from 17 because it doesn't make sense to do that. And so we have to supply the verb, therefore, that's in the predicate. And so I'm going to kind of walk through those. We'll kind of walk through 16 and going into 17. I'll show you how back and forth that. And I also I'm actually writing an article on this myself and showing why we can't do that. Because here's the deal. If we're going to take, so here's the verse again. If we're going to take theopnestos and ophelemos and call them attributive, then we really also need to call into question. We're going to pull the verb from 17, and we also need to call into question the endings and ask the question, okay, wait, so are these really feminine adjectives, or are they something else, or the endings more masculine? Now we have to find what they actually modify, if they're attributive versus if they are predicate. Now, if they're predicate, they can say fine the way they are and call back and say something about the subject graphi. If not, we can move them anywhere we want, kind of a deal, and find out, okay, where does this modify this, and what. So there's a whole argument for that, and that I don't really want to get into, but I do want to talk about how 17, we do not need to borrow a verb from 17 to go back into 16. The way the grammar works, we can supply the verb in 16 and still be perfectly well within translatable reason, I guess, and it still says exactly what it says. Okay, so let's go to verse 17. We'll translate it out. I'll show you all the different parsings of it, and then I'll show you why it's a complete thought in and of itself in 17, and 16 is a complete thought also. All right, sorry about the shadows and if this is kind of shaky, but I didn't have my stand here in my office. So anyway, let's read this together. It says, Ina artios I otuteu anthropos pros pan ergon agaton exertismenos. Okay, and it means, ina up here means that. Okay, and that is a conjunction. So that's going to connect the two parts of the sentence together. Artios is an adjective. because it's going to modify something. And it means, well, let's talk about what it's in. So it's in the nominative, because the ending, we have to look at the endings here. Masculine, singular. And we have to ask ourselves, okay, so what does artios modify? And what state is it in as an adjective? Okay, so artios actually modifies man. Okay, now we have to ask ourselves what state is it in? Okay, so anthropos is man, or mankind, or the real question is, okay, so what's the so it's a noun, of course, and it is the subject of our sentence, and it is in the nominative, masculine, singular. Okay, so man is probably a good translation of it. We do know that it's more than just man, though, but it's kind of like, we'll just stick with what it is. Okay, so the man, that's the subject. And so ho anthropos would be, there's your article, and then tou theou is the prepositional phrase, and this means of God. And to, of course, is an article, and that is in the genitive masculine singular. And theou is also a noun in the genitive masculine singular. And so where is the verb? Okay, so the verb is actually right here. He, or e. I guess not he. That's a terrible. It's e. Okay, and it is a being verb, and it is maybe, or man of God is, or maybe. So we have to, in order to find that out, we need to figure out what part of speech it is. So we're going to look over here, and we're going to find out that it is a present subjective active. And this is third person singular, and so maybe. And then, so artios means complete. And what we're going to find out is, here we go. So that the man, here's the man of God, here's the preposition. Maybe, here's your verb, it's a being verb, so we're going to have a predicate adjective. And so our adjective here is not a modifying attributive adjective, it is a predicate adjective. Maybe complete, okay? Now, let's go to the rest of the sentence here. Pros, that means to or towards. Pan means every. And this is a preposition, by the way. Sorry about that. And then this is a adjective, and it is in the accusative neuter singular. And then here's this good work. Okay, so this is good, agaton. And then work, ergon, is work. And these are both, this is the adjective here that describes work. And this is in the accusative neuter singular. So adjective, all describing work here. So let's see the neuter there, and there we go, perfect. And then this is the in the nominative, and this is the it's a noun, sorry, not nominative, what am I talking about? Noun, and it is in the accusative neuter singular. Okay, so here's this word over here, and this word is exertismenos. Okay, and it is our verb. It means to be equipped, to be fully equipped, but it's more than that because of this ending. All right, so this one was actually pretty tricky. This word here was pretty tricky to parse. So it can either be a verb and it's in the perfect participle middle, or it's in a passive state and it's nominative masculine singular. Okay, it could be either or of those, and that's why it's having been fully equipped or being fully equipped or something like that. Because it's either the verb or it's a passive state. So I would say I would probably go more with the verb, being fully equipped, and then that would be in the perfect participle middle, and that way the sentence works out. So anyway, what we have here then is we have your verb here, which is not a being verb, it's more of an action verb. So you're going to have a direct object. So the question is, what's the direct object? Well, the direct object is your accusative right here, and that is work. And so to or toward every good work, this is your prepositional, like a prepositional phrase, but here is your direct object. The question, though, is where's the subject? So we have to pull our subject from this up here. So this is like a huge compound part of the sentence. The whole thing is a giant run-on sentence with a huge compound part of the sentence. So that the man being fully equipped towards every good work. The man of God may be complete, and that man being fully equipped to every good work. So it's a complete thought, 2 Timothy 3:17. And the reason we cannot borrow the being verb here maybe is because it does not relate to what we would need over here. It is a being verb, but it would not really, it's stuck over here and it all works here. We can't do here. So we're going to supply the verb is. So this is all, so graphi, the scriptures is. Okay, so every scripture is. And then here's your predicate, theabnevstos and ophelimos. These are two distinct thoughts that work together, okay? We're not borrowing from one to get to the other so that we can use these in the attributive to go in front. These are in the predicate, and this is its own thought all by itself, but they work together in conjunction with each other because there's the conjunction that says these work together. And so this should be translated. Every scripture is God-breathed and is beneficial or useful for teaching, for, what do we say that elegmon was reproving, it's for proving, it's for convincing, for correcting, and for training in righteousness, right? That, and we do all of that, that the man of God may be complete. And so that that man also may be fully equipped to every good work. That is how it is traditionally translated, and I think that is how it's supposed to be translated. I do not believe that we can read those adjectives in the attributive to say that the God-breathed scriptures and the useful or beneficial scriptures are for whatever. And so then we have to call into question which ones are God-breathed and which ones are useful and beneficial. I don't think the grammar goes towards that. So hopefully that was helpful in you understanding how this should be translated and how we are going to view these verses as it relates to the inspiration of Scripture and this idea of theabnevstos. Okay? Awesome. Well, like I said before, I'm going to be putting together an entire article about this and writing it all up with all kinds of references and that kind of stuff. So if you want to read that, I'll attach my blog to this post so you can get there and read it on my blog, or you can get the paper on my blog. But hopefully this was helpful in helping understand like how the sentence structures can work, and how we can't just read things in and kind of come up with things and go, well, I think it should be this because it's missing this. Like there's really a way that the grammar helps us understand how to interpret well. So, all right, well, give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.